This is Pitch Black. Directed by David Twohy, the movie is about a ship full of travelers who crash on a backwater world where they're forced to survive until the ship is fixed or they get rescued. It's kinda like a sci-fi Robinson Crusoe, except there's also a serial killer there, and every 22 years when night falls, the Tyranid from Warhammer 40k emerge from the ground and murder everybody. At its heart, it's a monster movie. And in a lot of ways, the main character is the serial killer, iconically played by Vin Diesel. And his name is Richard B. Riddick.
Richard B. Riddick, escaped convict.
The movie has mixed reviews, but I think it's pretty good. A lot of people like it. It developed kind of a small cult following, and I had a lot of fun rewatching it.
No! Oh my god, I thought I was the only one. I thought it was Riddick.
In the couple of years that followed the movie, Vin Diesel became crazy popular. His fans began to look back at Pitch Black with renewed appreciation, specifically for his character, Dick Riddick. So David Twohy had a great idea. Make another film, and this time, make it all about Dick. And lucky for David, Vin Diesel loved the idea too. Now, very rich and famous, Diesel decided not only to produce the sequel, but he wholeheartedly supported the decision to make it all about Riddick. Together, they started a massive campaign to solidify the Riddickverse, or the Dickverse, I guess you could call it. David began working on the second movie, The Chronicles of Riddick, with Diesel as a producer. And in 2004, he remastered and re-released Pitch Black on DVD, this time with the updated title, The Chronicles of Riddick, Pitch Black. So while David was off doing that, Vin was using his video game company Tygon Studios, which exclusively makes games about the characters that he played in movies, to develop a video game prequel to Pitch Black slated for release several months before the second film.
The concept of Tygon is quite a unique thing. It's a game production company, so it's neither a developer nor is it a publisher, but its purpose is to create franchise or create IPs that can be used in all of these different mediums.
Having a Tygon, my company that creates these games, I can, use all of this pool of knowledge about the world and incorporate it into the video game and keep the video game consistent with the movie.
Vin, really knows games, which I was really surprised about.
In 2003, Tygon Studios partnered with Swedish developer Starbreeze Studio, and together, they started work. Despite this being a movie tie-in game, it was a prequel, and it didn't have to follow any movie counterpart. So the team was free to do basically whatever they wanted.
Movie titles often have that stigma that,
I mean, let's be honest, movie games suck. Most of the time, they are ass terrible, right? And that was something that we had to deal with Escape from Butcher Bay, because up until that game was released and people played it and reviewed it, I think most people expected it to be bad.
The exciting thing about using a licensed product, foremost, is from the beginning the team really felt like, I don't want to work on the licensed product, but since we had a chance to do a prequel to a movie and not doing it based on the movie, we got more freedom to do more innovative stuff.
And since Vin had major say in the franchise and worked closely with the devs, he understood and approved basically all of their gameplay decisions. Meanwhile, all creative story calls were overseen solely by David Twohy. Starbreeze said they were inspired by games like Half-Life, Splinter Cell, Thief, and Deus Ex. And during development, they tested a more RPG Deus Ex style of gameplay, but ultimately dropped the idea, based on advice from game testers and Diesel himself.
How do we make the video games as good as movies?
Since this was a major early push to legitimize video games as a real form of deep entertainment media, and since so much money was being pumped into it by a very few invested people, Starbreeze focused heavily on the game's graphics and used cutting-edge techniques like normal mapping.
The team at Starbreeze knows they need a look that is just as cinematic as the film it's based on.
Another chunk of money was spent to secure recognizable voice actors, again as a way to provide legitimacy to the video game medium. With the representation of Vin Diesel on their side, Starbreeze was able to sign on Ron Perlman, Michael Rooker, and Exhibit.
No contraband of any kind. Don't ask what's contraband. I define it day by day.
Great line. As well as the legendary voices of John DiMaggio and Steve Bloom. And finally, after 18 months, Escape from Butcher Bay was ready, and it was released on PC and Xbox to critical praise and pretty good sales numbers. I was one of those sales numbers back in high school. High school me had never heard of Pitch Black. I just saw Butcher Bay on a shelf one day at the store, thought it looked cool, and bought it with my hard-earned lawn mowing money. When I finally sat down and played it, I had no expectations, and boy, did it leave an impression on me.
Ah, the yard. Ah, the yard. Oh, Jesus Christ.
I shambled up to my friend at lunchtime at school and said, "Holy shit, I just played Butcher Bay." To my surprise, my friend said he was glad it was good because the movie it was based on was pretty badass. I asked what he meant, and he told me, and by that night, I had a copy of the movie pirated off of LimeWire. And he was right. It was badass. So now, nearly 20 years later, I'm sitting here seeing prison walls in my head, and some weird part of my brain is getting scratched. So, just like back in the golden shower days, I mean, that was a weird slip. Just like back in the golden days, I booted up the Pirate Bay, procured myself a new copy, and dove back into the stink of PP Bay. Butcher Bay. Back into Butcher Bay. Sorry, I was thinking about something else from the Two Girls thousands. The 2000s. From the 2000s. Not that.
I punched that guy into some barrels and he blew up. That's so awesome.
The game starts like the movie. Bounty hunter Johns has Riddick captured, and he's flying him to a prison planet where he's going to get some bounty from an old friend.
And I bank your bounty plus 50.
Plus 50?
You land, and you get the drop on Johns. He's dead! You break into a sewer and you sneak around till you find a gun and you blast your way out of there. But the blinding light?
Rise and shine, Riddick.
It's not an escape. It's a dream. You wake up back on the transport, still captured. Damn it.
Rise and shine, jackass.
That was a tutorial. The real game is starting now.
You might want to be careful with that, Johns. You could hurt somebody.
So they're like boyfriends.
You land, and the warden comes out. His name's Huxley or something, but he's basically PewDiePie.
So the famous Mr. Riddick.
The Hawks.
Finally come to stay, eh? Well, as of this moment, Butcher Bay owns your ass. I own your ass.
John said you liked ass stuff.
Anyway, he doesn't really like Johns and gives him shit. Then you give Huxley shit, who gives you shit back, and then Johns gets in on some.
Already trying to get under my ass.
It's a lot of homosexual tension. Anyway, then Exhibit takes you to your cell and delouses your ass.
It's time for us to delouse your filthy ass.
You guys have beef now. You're allowed to leave your cell, and you wander about the prison where you talk to some inmates.
It's the Cozart brothers, a.k.a. the twins. Locked down yesterday. Managed to get hold of some poor side, obviously.
There's a man being in a nearby cell by two other inmates, and it's the most elaborate scene script I've ever heard in a game.
It's a goddamn freak show. They got someone in there again.
It goes on for like 4 minutes before looping. I checked.
Like, you can hear it all over this area. Look, and there's the pervert. I guess I was doing that though. Hey, we have the same hobby. I mean, at least when I listened to The Door, I had some dignity. I didn't lean against it like a weirdo.
Charlie has a bunch of seizures for no reason.
Did he die? Is he dead? He's not dead. does this?
Talking about me? Never wise.
You need a knife ASAP, and eventually you spook one out of a low-tier gangster. He tells you to go to his cell to retrieve the knife.
Check my bunk and you'll find one.
But it's an ambush.
Welcome to Butcher Bay.
You elbow those guys to death.
Fuck you guys.
And worst of all, there was never a knife to begin with.
Where's that knife? Is that a lie? It was a goddamn lie.
You go back and threaten him. He's sorry, and he will bring a knife to your cell as an apology. But this time, he's serious.
Cross me again, and I'll have your life.
Let me set things straight.
You agree, and go back to wait. He brings the knife. But then Jesse Rooker Pinkman shows up.
What the F you think you're doing, Madsen? You dealing without my approval?
He's the gang leader, Rust, and he's going to teach you a lesson. But then Riddick teaches him a lesson. And then Exhibit shows up again.
It's me again, Exhibit.
And he teaches everybody a lesson.
People can get hurt.
Or worse.
Raped.
Indeed.
Or killed.
And we don't want that.
Speak for yourself.
You lose your knife. Then Exhibit's radio is like,
We have a problem. Disturbance at cell block 9. Send in the squad. Send in the squad.
and he and Rust leave.
At least Charlie's not having another seizure
Rust.
yet. Oh shit, he is doing it again. Damn it. He does it fast.
You head straight to the right and start kicking ass. At the end of the block, you find Rust, and you two stab each other. He dies, so Riddick escapes back to his cell with a new knife and brass knuckles, and Michael Rooker escapes the sound booth. Great work, Mr. Rooker. Really fantastic job. Somehow doing these things gains you access to the infirmary, and Riddick, now alone with 2 guards, decides to kill 2 guards.
So maybe I just fucking kill these guys?
He then bypasses a door to another room.
It's a machine.
With a medical device that ups his max health. Which takes him to another room that gives him access to the entire vent system. And now Riddick is escaping Butcher Bay. You sneak around a while and end up in another room where you murder a janitor.
I'm gonna screw off. You know, if you had to have a screwdriver fight with somebody, a janitor would be a pretty bad one, right? You're probably really familiar with a screwdriver.
You then gain security clearance, allowing you to handle firearms.
Now things get interesting.
And firefight your way back through the cell blocks to return to the yard, where you can gain access to the giant death pit, which is now open.
Here we are. It's time to get in the pit.
It ain't the fall that gets you.
It's Riddick.
Riddick uses a guard's body to absorb all the fall damage and starts exploring the tunnels. The game then introduces a new enemy type.
Oh, what? Little people that blow up. Oh my god. They're made of body parts.
After fighting your way through the exploding men, you happen upon a prison shaman.
Make way for the messenger.
Who takes you to his special room and gives you magic eyes.
I knew you'd come, Riddick. I knew it.
He says some mystic stuff, then sends you on your way into the vent system again, where some kind of techno space witch sends you a mind message, saying how special you are.
Your destiny lies elsewhere, Riddick. So I'm going to give you a gift. Yes, you have been blind for far too long. But your world is about to get more colorful.
Where the hell can I get eyes like that?
Gotta kill a few people.
Okay, I can do it.
And you gotta get sent to a slam where they tell you you'll never see daylight again. You dig up a doctor, and you pay him 20 menthol cools to do a surgical shine job on your eyeballs.
So you can see who's sneaking up on you in the dark.
Exactly.
You have been blind for far too long.
With his eyeballs newly shined and carrying the favor of the Cosmo goddess, Riddick continues his titular escape.
Use that shine job to crawl around like a kitty.
You emerge into the guard showers room and murder some guys by their lockers who are totally unprepared.
I noticed something.
The wolf moves among sheep.
You dress like a guard and start making your way disguised through the staff housing blocks of the prison, searching for Exhibit. You guys still have that beef. The housing block confused me, and I got turned around for about an hour. It's basically door after door that you interact with and get voice lines. Sometimes it's Bender.
But that Riddick, he's one tough son of a bitch. Riddick?
Sometimes it's Spike.
Leave me alone. I'm on duty.
Sometimes it's clearly the devs.
Go away. I am depressed. I am such a jerk.
This entire segment is fun in its own stupid way, but pacing-wise, it's a total drop-off.
Abbott?
Well, he's got the fancy place up there. He's not keen on visitors. Abbott only answers for his deliveries.
What deliveries?
Finally, I realized that this entire segment was linear and that clearly Exhibit's room would be at the end of the segment, so I started legging it and eventually I arrived. Diesel tries the whole hot guy with a package angle.
I got a package.
And Exhibit gets confused and just lets him in thinking it's the waifu delivery guy.
Finally, must be my new rifle. Enter.
Once inside, Exhibit realizes you aren't his new waifu, and you both whip him out and start shooting.
Who the f***'s in my apartment? Come on! Riddick! You just made your last mistake. You're dead f***ing meat, Riddick!
A well-timed fire extinguisher shot ends the fight and bedazzles the cutscene. But as Riddick crouches over the body, another man enters the apartment and puts a gun on you.
How long you been here?
It's John's.
Long enough.
You guys still have that beef.
Even though Abbott's a cocksucker, I'm going to suggest strongly that you not kill him. At least not until I get my plus 50.
Plus 50?
With his plan finally coming to fruition, Johns is clearly about to bust.
Going somewhere with my prisoner, Johns?
But then PewDiePie shows up again with a bunch of guys with bigger guns, and once again he denies Johns his happy ending. He and Johns still have that beef. Back in Pew's office, Johns is getting a stomach full, and Riddick's enjoying watching. Johns and the warden work out some sort of deal, but I think Johns just wanted the beating to stop.
Now get the f*** out of my slam.
You got it.
He leaves, and Riddick is sent to the mines, the Supermax version of what we just escaped from.
I expect things could get ugly.
I'll be disappointed if they don't.
You're so cool, Riddick. Yes, push him more. Oh.
In the mines, your cell is a cargo crate hanging off the side of a sheer drop. If you mess around in here, you could be casually tossed to your death, or gunned down by an automated system.
Fuck yeah.
For the slightest infraction. Despite the change in scenery, we are still Richard B. Riddick, and therefore the most dangerous thing on the planet. And it obviously does nothing to deter our attempt at escape.
He's learning to fly.
Rotten fruit falls hard in this shithole.
And lands even harder.
It seems like a lot of hype, but honestly, things aren't that different down here.
Back off! Mess. My sincerest regrets.
Cool. After a nice elevator ride, you wind up in the double max common areas, and you immediately join the local fight club.
Set it up.
A fight will cost you 5 UDs, but I'll let you in free. Try not to disappoint.
You beat the hell out of a guy named Harmon, so you can access the rest of the area. Then you repeat this process another 5 times to progress, and the game's formula starts to show a little bit. Go here, talk to someone, go back, talk to someone else, go to a new area. It's linear, but with backtracking and side missions to give the illusion of more than it is. But it does it pretty well, and I still enjoy the environment. You circle around this area for a while doing tasks and fighting people. I buy a club.
I'll take the club.
Here it is.
Eventually, I figure out that this wall is a door, and we keep going. Honestly, the resolution of this area is a complete blur to me, but at some point, you go lower into the mine, where you confront another gang leader. A bunch of those Tyranid things burst out of the ground from pitch black, because of course they're going to. You get captured again, you get sent to cryo.
Your mandatory 2 minutes of daily exercise begins now.
And then at some point you're in a big robot, you're riding around in the robot shooting everybody, and the controls are god-awful. And then you end up in PewDiePie's office again at the end of the game, and you fight him, and then you leave with Johns, and boom, that's the start of Pitch Black. That's the end of the game. Might seem like I rushed the ending a little bit. I did. So Johns and Dick head off straight to the events of Pitch Black, like Jesse at the end of Breaking Bad driving his way to the movie Need for Speed. And it was all neatly wrapped up and presented alongside the Chronicles of Riddick, and they were the greatest thing ever released, and it all changed the face of entertainment. No, actually, I saw Chronicles of Riddick in theaters because of this game, and honestly, I can't remember one thing about that movie other than a general Queen of the Damned but in space vibe, and maybe the color purple. And apparently the audience had a similar experience because it sort of bombed and was totally forgotten about, basically killing all public interest in the Riddickverse. Tooie and Diesel tried again later to renew interest in the story by releasing a second Riddick game, Assault on Dark Athena, which they packaged with a remastered and upgraded Butcher Bay, and that's the version of the game this video used footage from. But Dark Athena, it didn't interest me much back in the day, and it didn't have a big effect on me now when I played a little bit of it, so I've never really given it much of a chance. In fact, now that I think about it, technically, I guess they leave Butcher Bay and they go to the other game, Dark Athena, and then they go to Pitch Black. But, you know, who gives a shit? For me, Butcher Bay was just a little moment in time when Vin Diesel was cool and games were fun. A reminder of simpler days when you could be a kid and just hang out with your friends, play some Halo, and mentally scar each other with a video from the internet of two girls eating poop, so you could all talk about it the next day in gym class. That's what Butcher Bay means to me. Thanks for watching. Hey, thanks for watching. Hope you liked it. I know all my stuff's pretty different. I know that can be a little jarring, but I'm trying to keep it at least somewhat in the same ballpark. Just fun content about stuff that I find interesting. If you want to check out my Patreon, if you want to support what I'm doing, which, you know, I don't understand why you'd want to do that, but maybe you do. If you do, patreon.com/BentNeatly. Got a video up right now about the cartel monkey that got shot. I'm still getting used to it. I'll see y'all in the next video, and it's about the Witch Purge. Goodbye.